Hello, this is Andy Ford with Andy Ford Video, and today we're going to look at randomly changing the color of a background shape layer, but this will be a little different than a tutorial we did earlier. Some of you asked, how do we randomly switch between certain colors and don't get those in-between colors? So this tutorial will show you that. Here's a shape layer, and I've added 5 color controls onto the shape layer. I got these by going to Effect, Expression Controls, Color Control, and I set each of the 5 to a different color. So what we're going to do is set the shape layer to randomly change between these 5 colors, but only these 5 colors, no shades of color in between. So just like the last tutorial, we'll set an expression for the color value of our fill in the shape layer. We'll make a variable for each color, and we'll set that color equal to the slider control value. So we'll call our first variable color1, and we'll set that equal to the color control slider for color1. We'll drag the pick whip to that value, make a variable for color 2, set it to the color 2 slider value, and so on for colors 3, 4, and 5. Now we'll set a variable, let's call it colors, that is equal to an array that is made up of our 5 possible colors. Next we're going to want to create a slider, expression controls, slider control, and this slider is going to end up controlling the value of the array that is chosen. Make a variable for slider equal to the slider control value using the pick whip. And finally, we must return the value of our array, and that value is determined by the slider variable we just created. So colors and then slider in brackets. So now we have a color that is determined by our slider control. As you know, in arrays are valued starting from 0. So color 1 would be 0, color 2 is 1, color 3 is 2, and so on. So as our slider control is 0, we see red, color 1. Change it to 1, we see color 2. Change it to 4, we see color 5. Now one thing we want to do on our slider control variable is add the Math.floor. And then you put the whole rest of the expression inside parentheses. So say for example you keyframe your slider variable over time, you're bound to have numbers in between the whole numbers of 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. You'll have 3.5, etc. So Math.floor will make it so that when you do have those decimal numbers, it's going to take the floor of that value. So 3.5 would be 3, which would return your array value of 3, which is yellow. If we set a keyframe for 0, and at 2 seconds, made another keyframe for 4, you should see that we run through our 5 colors. And we run through them exactly. We don't see any of the colors in between like we did in our previous tutorial, which was randomly generating all the colors in between set values. So let's undo those slider control keyframes and see how we can further automate this. And we'll first alter our slider. We're no longer going to need the Math.floor, but what we do need to create is some type of engine, some variable that makes this whole thing go. And so for that reason, let's call the variable an engine. And now we're going to set it to Math.floor because again, we want to not deal with decimals. And in parentheses here, we're going to need a variable that's always changing, which we can use our trusty friend time, and then we'll divide that by our slider value. And now's a good time to use seed random next in conjunction with this. We need seed random because this will allow us to replay the same random movements every time. The seed value tells After Effects the random algorithm pattern to use during each playback. So we use our engine variable as our seed value. Then we complete the seed random method by using either true or false. True makes seed random a timeless argument. That means it stays the same on each frame, but still chooses a random value. Now we need to create another variable which helps choose our color. For those reasons, let's call it color choose. And going to set this to Math.floor so we don't deal with decimals. And in parentheses, we're going to write random because again, we want to choose a random color from our 5 array options. And we have to set the confines of what random's going to choose from. And so we wanted to choose from colors.length for the number of options in our array. So by writing color.length, we know that we're going to get a value between 0 and 4. Exactly 0, 1, 2, 3, or 4 because we wrote in Math.floor. And then finally, we must return our value. So in this instance, we want the colors to be our color choose value. So let's set our slider control down to 0.5. And now you can see that every 0.5 seconds, our color is changing randomly. The slider control is basically your throttle on how fast this goes. because you see on our engine variable, we're taking the floor of time divided by the slider. And then we're creating a random seed based on that equation. This is an example of why you want true in your random seed value. False makes this thing randomly seed every frame. True is going to have it stay static. So now you are changing randomly between 1 of 5 colors, getting exactly that color. If you want it to happen slower or faster, you adjust your slider control as necessary. So I hope this helps. Thank you.